All right, welcome here. Kurt Holden with you, and we're going to do our first obscure movie report. Again, this is all on Vern Entertainment Facebook and on our YouTube page. So if you're hearing this, it means you're liking the page, or you just want to go and get some positivity and some humor into these ones. And so that's what we're doing here. We're starting up this obscure movie review, and we're starting up with one of my favorite movies. Now, it's not highly rated. It's not... I mean, you look at it on Rotten Tomatoes, it got like 2%. You look at Metascore, 12% or 12 out of 100. But that's the reason why I want to do these movies. These are the movies that are just an absolute riot to watch on a weekend, Saturday night, Friday night. You're hanging out, you're looking through Amazon Prime, and you're like, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and it just makes you kind of laugh out of all the most stupid things. Those are the movies I like to review, because those are the movies that, they're not going to be winning any Oscars or anything like that, but they do serve a purpose, and they're also just really, really funny to listen to and to watch. But so that's what we're doing with this whole new thing. It's obscure movie reports or reviews, and it's going to be a little bit more frequent than our podcast. Again, that's a separate deal, and so we will be releasing our podcast as well. That'll be on today. And so the first movie, the initial movie here for our review, is Strange Wilderness. Now, Strange Wilderness is kind of that crazy wildlife movie that's, it's, if you took the Crocodile Hunter, the Crocodile Hunter, which was Steve Irwin, and you flipped it completely upside down, and it was this ridiculous, everything's kind of incorrect, everything goes wrong kind of deal. That's what Strange Wilderness is bringing. Now, watching this movie, the only thing I'm thinking of, why can't this be this would be such a fun late night program that even though it'd be crazy, it'd be bizarre, it'd probably be fake, but it would be just hilarious to watch, and you watch it at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and they're going to all these weird places. It's kind of, very reminiscent to Wild Boys with Steve Irwin, or not Steve Irwin, but Steve-O. And so it's kind of like that. Chris Pontius, Steve-O, Wild Boys, they always went and they would go do all these wild, weird things in different countries. And so this is kind of up that alley. And so Strange Wilderness, 2008 is when it was released. It's by that Happy Madison, so Adam Sandler's company. So it's got a lot of the regular people you'd see in an Adam Sandler movie. And so Steve Zahn's the main character. And it's funny is that the two main characters in the movie, Peter Gawke and Fred Wolf, actually did a skit of this at Saturday Night Live in the 70s. And so when they did these skits, they became the writers and director of this movie. So those skits made this movie almost 30 years later. That's the bizarre thing, after doing a little bit of research on it. But again, it's one of those movies where it's super fun. It's hilarious. It's got a lot of parts. I don't want to spoil it. I know it's been 2008, so if you haven't seen it by now, you're probably not going to see it, or you're going to listen to this and be like, I got to go check it out. But it's that obscure, just crazy, crazy movie. They're all over the place in it. There's one kind of definitive storyline in which their TV shows on the verge of getting cut and replaced, and so they're trying to find that one big story to bring it back. And of course, when you're in wildlife, or you're trying to figure out what's the biggest thing I can do, I got to find Bigfoot. Except they take that whole concept and they kind of twist it, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to spoil it for you. If you haven't seen it, then I really recommend it, especially if it's like one of these days where you're just sitting at home and you're just seeing it and it's like, oh, you know what? Let's go throw it on. I see it there. It looks kind of interesting. It's kind of funny. Now, I will say it's rated R for a reason. It's got a lot of adult humor, so it's not really for kids. But if you're thinking, I want a good laugh, want something kind of crazy out there, and it really is. I mean, there's some pretty funny parts. Now, again, it's not one of those movies where it's going to be highly rated. You go on and check it on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that, and it's not going to do that great because that's not what the movie's purpose is. I mean, you look at all the Adam Sandler movies, most of them are rated in the same category. But that's not the appeal of the movie. The appeal of the movie is, I mean, if you talk to somebody about Happy Gilmore, and that's one of everybody's favorite sports movies. It's just crazy, bizarre. Adam Sandler doing his kind of his thing. This is kind of that same alley. Again, he's a producer or executive producer on this movie, so it's got kind of that tone to it. But it's hilarious. Man, I really want to go into some of my favorite parts. But again, this is about trying to get people to watch some of these older movies because it can be. I mean, it depends on your humor. If your humor sense is more set to like mine, I'll watch pretty much anything. There's only a few things that I won't watch, but humor wise, I'm always up. I'm always game for something just completely bizarre. Now there are some times where you get into the movie about half an hour into it and just like, what am I watching? Kind of deals. There's only a few times where I've had to turn it off, aka Joe Dirt 2. That one was not one of my favorites. I might have to rewatch it. I might have to sit through the whole thing and rewatch it just to do a review on it. And that might be on the list here. But Strange Wilderness, if I was giving it a rating on my scale, again, my scale is completely different than these guys because, again, my humor is completely different than a lot of these critics out there. And, if you talk to any of my friends about that movie, they know exactly what I'm talking about in this movie. But, as a starting score, I'm going to give it a 6.7. It's one of those movies where it's a good laugh. Yeah, there's not much story. If you're looking for story, it's probably not the right movie for you. But there's a lot of funny parts into it, a lot of adult humor situations that are just kind of shock factor. There's some of those parts in there too. But it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's a late night movie. That's where its prime is. It's one of those movies you're sitting on a couch. You're like, there's really nothing on. You see that, and you're like, good chuckle. This is what that movie's made for. Again, it's on Prime Video. If you have Prime, it's there. It's probably a lot of other spots. But I recommend this movie if that's kind of your humor set. It's kind of more like mine. You don't mind having kind of a weird sense of humor, and you're just looking for a late night movie. It'll give you a good laugh. So that's gonna be our review here. Again, Strange Wilderness. Check it out if that kind of fits your range of what you want to watch. And so my rating 6.7 out of 10. And then our next movie that we are going to be rating. Now this is an absolute doozy. And it's one from back when I was in high school. It might have came out earlier, but it's one that it's really tough. And you've got to be kind of expecting some just weird stuff to happen. And so this one, I put it on my social media a little bit ago, and people are like, "Why are you watching that?" Like, well, it's because there's some parts about it that, you're not gonna. I will admit that it's hard to sit through the movie, but if you just kind of go for those certain parts, they make it all up, and especially in the world of kind of crappy sci-fi movies, is definitely where this one will categorize. And this actually was, I believe, one of the originals that led to a bunch of sequels, and it was more so versus this versus that. But it's called Make a Shark versus Giant Octopus. It's an absolute, not a very low budget movie. Not much. I would say finances. CGI is not great, but it's just kind of the awkwardness and kind of the the shock and awe kind of feel of it, where it's like, did I just really see that? And then you're kind of thinking, well, what are they going to do next? That's where its appeal is. So that's going to be, again, our second our review will be on obscure movies. That will be it. Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus. So that'll be the next one coming up. We'll go into a little bit more details on that one. So, again, obscure movie number 1 here on our review, Strange Wilderness, 6.7 out of 10. Again, highlights. It's just a good late night movie if you're looking for a good laugh. And again, a good cast, a lot of funny, and this is kind of one of those movies where a lot of these guys, before they really broke out, I mean, Jonah Hill, you've got Steve Zahn, Alan Covert, kind of a big Happy Madison, a lot of those movies. Grandma's Boys, another good one from him. Justin Long. I mean, there's a lot of actors in there. Pretty good cast for comedy. So that's going to do it here for number 1. Again, this is on Vern Entertainment. Go on Facebook, go on YouTube, and pass it around to your friends. But, kind of in our times that we have today, and it's just kind of fun to go in some of the weird stuff and look for the positivity and always have a good laugh. So everybody take care. Our podcast will be coming back, and that will release later today after this has been done. So make sure to check that out. It'll be on Facebook and YouTube as well. So everybody have a great one. Vern Entertainment, we're out.